ziua și bine ați venit la un nou episod al CEC pentru afaceri românești. Sunt Roxana Petrescu, gazda dumneavoastră, iar alături de mine în studio este Ondrej Safar, Country Manager Evryo România. Hello Ondrej, nice to have you here again.
Hello, nice to see you. Thanks for being invited.
How is 2025 going so far? Because we had some events in the energy market. How do you see the market holding on?
So the market is starting July. There is end of price capping, which started to make customers to again choose the supplier because although that possibility was still existing there with the price cap, there was not really incentive to make the change. So we start to see changes between the suppliers. We started to see the moves. But that was not something unexpected. So from this perspective, I think the market is getting back where the market should be. And the customers are choosing based on their preferences, whether it's service, whether it's price, whether it's combination, whether it's some additional services. So I think market is where it should be.
We are talking again about the price of energy. We see from the high level, from the ministry level, that there is again this urge to push prices down, to take measures. The measures are more on the long term. But again, we have this talk about the right price of energy. How do you see the prices evolving? Because we hope that they will go down with the green energy coming online. How do you see things?
So I think first thing is we had the luxury of having the price cap for quite a long period, which means the consumers didn't see the real price of the energy because the real price was paid by someone else. It was paid by the government. So now after this period of almost 4 years, we start to see what is actually the price, because the price of energy on the wholesale market was always the price as it is now. So that's one thing. The other thing is as well, the price is formed by the market, so it's formed by demand and offer. And the fact is that since this 2015, when was the end of the first wave of renewables, there were not many generations put in operation, and there were rather some units which were taken out of operation. So on the side of offer, the capacity decreased, and on the side of demand, it's remained the same or it increased. So it's automatically driving the price up. But if you are looking at the medium to long-term perspective, so all the price curves, all the studies are showing that the prices should be decreasing, which is driven by the new capacities being built, being put it in operation, and we see. In this moment that these things are happening. So there are gas-fired power plants which are under construction. There finally we start to see some movements on the side of renewables. We have 3,000 megawatts as well on the roofs of people across Romania, which is as well contributing in a way as additional capacity. And all of these things are helping, but it takes time. Energy sector is the sector where everything what you do has more long-term impact. You don't have some quick wins. You don't have some shortcuts. So you really need to plan. You need to invest with long-term perspective.
We see a lot of megawatts coming online. Only this year, I think, till September, we have 1,000 excluding prosumers. So this is a big thing after decades of lack of investment. We also have big gas power plants coming online. Consumption is still, we have no increase there. When do you think all this capacity will also trigger some increase in the consumption?
We are living in very interesting period as energy sector. So we had 2021, which showed us how actually important for the economy energy sector actually is, because this huge increase in the prices, which was caused by let's say, Russian activity, Russian play with the gas prices. So we realized how important it is. We started to understand that energy transition is not necessarily only about being green, as it was in until, but it's as well about energy security. It's as well about the competitiveness, because we start now to see what's the actually price of new sources of energy, what energy prices you can generate versus, so you can compare them, and we can see that green is rather cheaper than the classical power plants. So this is something where we start to see it. In the same time, we are going to see more and more this transfer from other sources of energy, which are polluting, which we are predominantly as Europe as well. We are importing, so that's why I was talking about independency, and it will be transferring as well to electricity. So there is going to be e-mobility, there is going to be heating transformation going from from the current type of sources moving towards the electricity, and as well, let's say, many of the industrial technologies will go in this direction, as long as the price of energy will start to be more competitive. And the other thing which we don't talk much in Romania as well, starting I think 2027, ETS2 will kick in, which means paying the emission tax for the final consumers as well. So this is something which again will put additional pressure in moving from combustion engines, polluting engines, heating solutions which are polluting, moving to clean solutions, because based on this ETS2, let's say, that type of consumption which is producing pollution, and in many cases it's on European level, it's imported from somewhere, it will be penalized more. So the incentive to move to electricity will be increasing.
This ETS2 applies to, I don't know, if I have a diesel car, I will pay for the pollution.
So the ETS2, it's going to work that if you will be buying diesel, if you are going to be buying motorina, so in the price of motorina there is going to be additional price component, which is going to be the tax.
Mm-hmm. So this is like the new Rabla. It will somehow force you, or
it is. So this is something which is ahead of us. This is something which all the EU countries committed to implement. I think
it's the 2027.
I think it's 2027. So those things are going to be moving more and more consumption in the electricity. And as I said, energy sector is the long-term sector. So any change, any investment, you need to think from long-term horizon. So we can't.
But for heating, for example, which is a major problem in Romania, what solutions can you think of in 2 years, less than 2 years?
Well, it's not about, you cannot solve much in 2 years. That's why I'm saying it's long-term thing. It's long-term sector. You need to plan long-term. So that's why when we started to talk, I think 2-3 years ago, about energy transition, about importance in investment in the grids to build the infrastructure, we started to talk about it because this is something which we cannot have the effect of larger investment in 1-2 years. This is something which you will start to see it in the large scale after 5 years, after 10 years. But that's why it's important to start in time, because if you start to discuss about it in December 2026, there is nothing we can do about it than just to face it.
Do you think it's just us lagging behind in getting things ready? Because, I don't know, in other economies, they have everything on time.
No, but I can tell you, for example, because I'm from Czech Republic, we had the election in Czech Republic recently, and ETS2 was one of the big topic in the election campaign. So that was one of the topic that where parties were differentiating based on how they are going to approach it, how they see this ETS2 being implemented or not implemented, change. So that's something which, let's say, it's topic because it's...
We did not have this in our campaign, as far
No,
as I remember.
So that's why it's really important to consider really energy sector as a thing which is not talking about today, about problems of today, but talking about problems in 2 years, in 4 years, because whatever is decided today has actually impact in future.
So we will have definitely two main drivers for increased energy consumption, e-mobility and heating, because you are going to pay tax if you use diesel. And then concerning, I don't know, the ability to have here, to attract here large consumers. Do you see anything in this perspective as an opportunity? Because we are always talking about having the industry back on track. I don't know if it is very realistic to think that we are going to have big conventional energy consumers. Where should we be more attentive?
It is one of the big challenges of Europe to maintain and find the way how to maintain the, let's say, energy intensive industry in Europe. So it's not about Romania. Okay, Romania is in this moment, but this is in this moment, it's more expensive than, for example, Central Europe. But this is one of the challenges which Europe has to find the key, how to maintain the competitiveness. So I don't have the answer to it, but it's not about Romania. As I said in the previous questions, energy sector is long-term sector. If you are looking at things from this moment, for this moment, we don't really find much answers. So if you are talking that Romania is more expensive than Central Europe, it's because there are some specifics which are linked to this year. So we have low hydrology, where if you look at the history, you have...
We have no investment in the generation except for this year. I mean,
but even with investments, with no investment. So if you look historically, every year where there is a low hydrology, Balkan region is more expensive than Central Europe because of the low hydrology, and the majority of the countries in Central Europe are having the strong dependence on production of the hydropower plants. So you have all the region is affected to it, and you have prices higher. If you would have very good hydrology, situation would be different. So we would have lower prices. We might have even similar prices as in the Central Europe. So we might be lucky next year. We might have a good hydrology. We might have the good prices as in Central Europe. It doesn't mean that we solved anything in the energy sector. It means this year we are unlucky because there is low hydrology, there is slower wind than the normal. We might be lucky next year. We might have a high hydrology, strong wind, and it doesn't mean that we are doing the right things in energy sector, because the renewables have the disadvantage that you cannot really decide where you have the water when you have the wind.
Yeah, but you cannot make strategies on luck.
No, that's what I'm saying. The strategy is, and I think what Romania did very well is CFD auctions for renewables, which I believe really contributed to really starting in the larger scale the investments. So this is something which is very positive. If Romania will continue in the same direction, it would be really helping. I don't think that nuclear power plants will be possible to build it without some form of CFD as well. So this is the right direction, which is helping the investments. What will be as well important is really to find a way how to increase the investments into infrastructure in the networks.
We will get to that very soon, but just two questions. Concerning increase in consumption, do you think Europe and Romania, given the fact that we are investing very much in renewables, will have a chance for attracting here data centers, AI factories, whatever is consuming energy right now, because obviously steel industry is not consuming energy.
I think it's not that much question of energy sector. It is as well. We are discussing, we are interested as the player on energy sector, we are interested to attract this type of consumers. There were several discussions, there were, let's say, several roundtables which are talking about what needs to happen, do we have a chance. But one of the topic, what is important for even those data centers operators, okay, energy price, but the second is local demand. Where we are, and that's the feedback from them, is where we are lacking is the local demand, because the big consumers like energy sector, it's regulated, and we like the regulators like hard assets. They don't like data centers, they don't like cloud solution. They like, and we are through the metal, we are incentivized to buy our own hardwares, to have our own systems on the premises. So as long as we don't change this mentality, we are going to be losing compared to other markets.
I'm not sure I understood. So they don't come here because, okay, the energy prices are not where they would be attractive, and on the other hand...
And the other thing, but I think it's better if you invite some of those big investors. But the other thing, what they are saying is we need to have as well the customers in the country. So there are two things which trigger the investment decision. I have good economical conditions, but I have local demand. I have the customer in the country.
To use that data.
To use the data, at least part of this capacity to really use it.
Mm-hmm. So we are working in a more logic, like in the real estate market. Everybody owns the apartment. It's not renting the apartment. We believe in having our own stuff.
We believe in owning the own stuff. We believe and we incentivize to have our own stuff, not to use that centralized solution, which actually might be more effective, or they are more effective. Because
we are afraid of, I don't know, things regarding security, or it's just not a business model we understand?
I think it's a mixture of many factors. Okay. But that's something what we need to really think about, and we need to learn in order to capture that opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Concerning the energy mix, you mentioned nuclear. With everyone I speak, everybody is saying now that the energy mix, the right energy mix, is renewable, storage, and gas. All of a sudden, gas is very attractive. We all like gas. Nuclear remains a very, very expensive solution and hard to integrate in this renewable scenario where everybody is producing the energy and so on. What's your opinion? Because there are also people saying that, okay, it's very nice nuclear, we need that for data centers, that we don't understand how they work. And if we build a nuclear, then we can have Tarnica. So it's a very...
That's a tough question. And I think if you ask anyone from energy sector, how the energy sector will look like in 2050, I don't think that anyone can give you the answer. And that's, let's say, that's beauty of this time. So we are really building something new, and there are going to be a lot of directions. There are going to be, every country is choosing its own future energy mix. Every country has its own strategy. We don't really know which one is the best one, which one is the best bet to make. So honestly, I really don't know. I know that there are countries which really believe in nuclear and they are investing into it. There are countries which don't believe in nuclear and they are massively investing in combination of gas, renewables, hydrogen, and they believe in this mix. Future will show which of these let's say, solutions are the best one. What I think, what is most important is energy security, to make sure that we have enough resources to produce the energy to satisfy the need. That's the most important, because not having enough energy it's far more expensive than any other option. So that's
Yeah,
one
we
thing.
saw that.
one of the thing is, yes, so nuclear might have a part in that mix, but that's political, economical decision. It's not cheap, but hydrogen is not cheap either. So it's not that you take let's say, of the mix and you replace it by something which is significantly cheaper. Hydrogen is as well part of the bet on renewable gas. There is a role of hydrogen, and in this moment, it's not cheap either. Technology might significantly develop. It might become significantly cheaper, or it doesn't have to be. It's the bet for future.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, not having energy costs a lot more than having it, so that's a good one. The grids. Everybody says we need that. There are all sorts of, billions and billions of euros that we need at the European level. In Romania, what can be done to invest more in grids, and where do you see the challenges in infrastructure in all this discussion about prosumers, energy mix, and so on?
So first, really, we need to discuss and imagine how that grid is going to look like in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And really to have serious discussion that how to prepare the grid for it. Because the role of grid will be significantly different than it's now. And it needs to be developed to be able to cope with that. So the time when there were, number of large important power plants which were managed by national dispatching, and electricity was coming from those power plants to every single house. It's not going to be anymore. Majority of customers will become active. They will produce electricity. They will consume electricity. They will be maybe even actively participating in balancing the grid with their batteries, future potentially with their cars, with their smart equipment, using the electricity in the right moment. So that's the future. That's the way how we can really efficiently and manage that energy sector. And for that you need to change the grid. Grid was built for something else. So that's about the massive investment in the grids and as well in the technology, in the systems which are able to manage it in real time. So because you will need to have a lot of system, you will need to have AI, which is going to take the decision in real time. So this is what is ahead of us. And in the same time as well, that's if you are talking about attracting some large consumers, energy intensive consumers. If we have underinvested grid, problem is that if you want to build a factory, you need to build big part of the grid which is linked to that factory as well. So it's making it very expensive. So just to make it somehow imaginable, so let's imagine that grid is the road. So if you want to build a big factory and you would like to have the access with your products to the highway, if you have the very dense system of highways as an infrastructure, so it's easier to build it. If you don't have the highways, if you don't have the infrastructure and you want to build a factory, then you build a factory, but you need to build a highway to the factory as well. So you need to have a lot of costs just to build a factory. And that's about the competitiveness of Romania. And we are hearing it as operator of distribution. We are hearing it all the time as a complaint that yes, we cannot have the investors, we cannot bring the investors because investor comes and they need to pay a lot of money for infrastructure. And we are responding to it. Of course, if we were for 20 years, we were focused on having it cheap. We were doing everything possible to have it cheap, not to build the network, not to invest in the infrastructure, then we have the infrastructure as we wanted to have. A small road is cheaper than the highway. But if we are insisting on maintaining the county road, maintaining the lower level of the road, it's very expensive to bring anyone who needs the highway, because it's expensive to build it just for that one house, just one factory.
And what would you do if you were, I don't know, leading a national authority in energy or in a ministry? What would you do? Also to keep the population happy, to have small bills, because everybody, this is the first objective, to have the small bills. And also keeping the investments. What would you do?
But we don't have small bill. We don't have small bill because we didn't invest. By not investing, you have small bill now, but you are going to have high bill in 5 years, in 10 years. Because your let's say, expectation of the population will increase. People in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, they will want to be, or they want to be already now prosumers. They will want to have electrical cars, because in 10 years, those cars are, okay, now it looks as nonsense, but in 10 years and 15 years, they will most likely cost the same. They might be even cheaper, the electrical cars, or 10 years would be cheaper electrical cars than the combustion engine cars. Running this electrical car will be cheaper than running combustion engine car. One of the reasons would be ETS too. So people will want that. And what you are going to tell them? That you can't have it because you had it cheap 10 years ago, you had it cheap 15 years ago. That's the dilemma. Yes, it might be more expensive, but we are now in the situation that we are more expensive than Central Europe because we didn't invest. It was cheaper. When I came in Romania, 2005, price of electricity in Romania was cheaper. Because
we were also exporting energy back then.
But because we were producing electricity from coal-fired power plant, which were not decarbonized by big investments. While in Central Europe, those power plants were decarbonized, and these investments had to be recovered. So in that market price, those costs were factored in, and the price
we
was
just shut them down.
Which was more
solution.
Which Czech Republic, Poland will shut them down as well, but they are more efficient. So on the long term, that investment, it's bringing benefits. It's in short term, it's more expensive, but it brings the benefits on long term. And that's about the competitiveness. That's about what is even in the Draghi report saying it's one of the important tools for competitiveness. There is as well big topic of affordability, how to make it to be affordable during the implementation. So this is something. So it's about finding the balance, how to make it affordable, but have the benefits really from the long term. By doing nothing, by being cheap, it's guaranteed way not to be efficient in future.
It's a guaranteed way to be expensive in the future.
To be expensive in the future.
Concerning prosumers, because as you said, we have 3,000 megawatts in prosumers. In Oltenia, where you have the infrastructure, it's the national leader in prosumers. But all these guys are producing the energy by themselves. Basically, they have no bills anymore. If they will have also storage, they will have no bills, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do they also need to invest in the infrastructure if they don't pay the bills? Because if you have lots and lots of prosumers, you need to have the infrastructure to allow them to operate, right?
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, they have no bill to pay for this infrastructure. Are the prosumers helping you or not? Is this something we should develop even more?
So prosumers are helping. So prosumers is future. Prosumer is part of that future energy
Also
mix.
industrial prosumer?
Also industrial prosumers. It's something which is really important part of the future energy mix, and it has its place, and it's good that this is developing. There is absolutely no doubt about it. The question is, what is the fair distribution of costs to maintain the infrastructure among the members of that let's say area of the consumers or prosumers.
And also for the consumers that will never be prosumers.
So grid is regulated, 100% regulated activity. What it means, 100% regulated activity, is everything what that company does is translated into tariffs. And there is some regulated profitability, so you cannot earn more, you should not earn less. So there is no way that if someone pays more, that distributor will have more money and more profit, because then it means if someone pays more, someone else will pay less, because in total, the distributor should receive the exactly fixed amount of money, and so that's how it works. So what it means is, in this moment, with this way of tariff structure, which is based on the volume, based on the consumption, if the prosumer produce its own energy for its own consumption, still distributor needs to go and needs to read the meter, distributor still needs to go and maintain the transformer. It means through these regulatory rules, someone else will pay those costs for the prosumers. So, and that's why we are explaining, and we are trying to explain and to reach the moment when we will have in Romania binominal tariffs, which is that customers will pay based on two parameters. One is what's the install capacity, meaning for possibility to inject to the grid or take from the grid whenever I want, based on certain capacity. And then based on actually what is used. Then it will mean that if I become prosumer, for example, I will still have the grid. I have still someone coming every time to read my meters, or there is a SIM card and we are reading it distantly, but still someone needs to pay for the SIM card and for the data transfer. And I'm going to pay the part for that service as a fixed fee. Because the other way is, if I don't pay it, most likely my neighbor who is not prosumer will have to pay for it, because it will be reflected in his costs.
And if I live in an old block of flats, that will hardly, I don't think it will ever become a prosumer, I don't know. How should I be differentiated in the bill from the neighbor who is receiving his energy for free? And not because I don't want to become a prosumer, but because I cannot become a prosumer.
No, so if you have that structure of the binominal tariffs, you are going to be let's say treated fair. You are going to pay the fair share of your costs for the service of being connected to the grid.
Okay.
We can go to even more complicated discussion.
No, it's not necessary. But I think it's a discussion we all should have and understand, because already 3,000 megawatts in prosumer, it's a large deal. This including big prosumers, and we also see companies more and more eager to have their own energy.
And it is very good. It's very good that this is happening, because this is really helping the energy prices overall. Because if they are satisfying their energy needs by themselves, it means that the demand is decreasing on the wholesale market.
Then why are we building gas and nuclear? What do we need that for?
Because energy transition will really bring increase of consumption. I know it's very difficult to imagine it now, because we have a period of
I take your word for
stagnation, but this is coming, and we cannot react to it in the time when it is already happening. Nuclear power plant, you would be building 5 years, 10 years.
5 years.
So
we have a gas power plant being, anyway.
No, we have one which is long and one which is built fast.
Yes,
So,
we have the both
so in
sides.
average, it's fine.
Okay, so energy consumption will come as well as prosumer being...
As well as the prosumers, and as well people will learn that they produce their own electricity, so as well their behavior is going to change, because you have it better, you have it cheaper, so it will be again, you will much easier decide to buy electrical car, because you know that you can produce you can charge it for free, because you have the investment.
Because your neighbor is paying your not prosumer neighbor is paying the grid and so on.
The grid represents 20% of bill of the consumer on the low voltage, so it's not such a big part of the bill.
No, I was just joking. When we talked at the beginning of the year, here you said that in Distribuție Oltenia you are going forward with a project that seemed like a big laboratory to test technologies, to see how things are working in this decentralized energy market that we are all heading towards. How are things going? How much did you invest? What did you see there?
First, I have to say I really like the project, and I'm really enjoying once we have once per month steering to discuss with the people about the findings, because it's absolutely great. It's, as you describe it, it's big laboratory, and I can see that people are really enjoying to be discovering, to be learning things, to be testing, to be realizing that our assumptions are not really met in the real life, and we need to rediscover again. So this is something which is really nice. So what we did is we selected 3 regions where we have a larger number of prosumers, and we started to test different solutions in order to really understand and to decide which of these solutions are the most effective and most economical in long term for the consumers. Because one thing is you can do something which is very expensive, but it might not be necessary bringing additional value to consumers. So you might come with, let's say, some quicker, smarter solution. So we are now in the phase where we implemented in all of the locations those new solutions. Some of them were just implemented. So we have in one region we implemented battery. So we have we put it battery, and we are trying to solve, or we are solving the, let's say, the balances with the battery. We are learning how to manage the battery in the real time as well, because that's part of the challenge as well. We are running we are about to finish the reconstruction. So we are in other region, we are completely reconstructing the grid in order to increase the capacity of the grid to evacuate and bring the power to the region. And in the third one, we are changing the transformers, we are changing the equipment, which is, let's say, from investment point of view, it's, let's say, less heavy. But we are expecting that it's not going to solve all the issues which we have. But in the same time, what we are doing as well, we are looking at all the data. We are collecting a lot of data from the region to understand where the problem is coming from, what is it linked to those problems, and so on. And we have plenty of interesting findings. So like, for example, one of them is, one of the findings is, so we have the region where we have roughly 200 customers. Out of those 200, 10% are prosumers. So we have 20 prosumers, and which are normal prosumers, which are plus minus producing as much as they are consuming. And then we have 2 prosumers, which are, let's say, oversized prosumers. So they are mainly hidden production on top of the house.
That's a problem of legislation.
We are looking at it purely technically. And we can see that, let's say, thanks to those 2 prosumers, all this region became power plants. So we are producing more than we are consuming as a region. So this is really turned into power plant. That's
amazing.
That's one thing. The other thing is that in order to solve the issues with over voltage during the day, low voltage during the nights, so we need to make the investment. So we need to make the investments. The investment is roughly 800,000 euro so that's in the region where we are doing reinforcement of the grid. So we are making 800,000 euro investment.
And this is split equally between the guy who installed more than he needed and the guy who installed the amount that he needed, but he also helps the grid functioning because he did the correct thing, no?
No, it's even more interesting because at the end it's paid by those 200 normal consumers.
Who didn't invest in anything.
Who didn't invest. So let's say with this structure of the tariffs.
No, this cannot work.
But it is exaggeration because, okay, all the costs are in the big region. But if this trafo post, this one single trafo post would be the distribution company, then it would mean that because of two oversized prosumers, the investment would have to be paid by 200 consumers over the lifetime. So you would have roughly 4,000 euro paid by those people which are consuming electricity. They didn't become prosumers, so each of them will have to contribute over a period of 40 years, because that's a period of depreciation. So for the period of 40 years, they would contribute to investments which are caused by someone else. So that's why we are running this data, to be able to really see who is let's say triggering the investments, who is paying for the investments, and then what is the optimal level of investments to solve the issues, solve the challenges.
Any other findings besides this disturbing one?
No, so I think those are preliminary. We are not there yet. But one of the preliminary is that those solutions which we believe that, let's say, changing the transformer, changing some equipment which is relatively cheap, that it's not really addressing all the issues. So that's one of the findings. But we are still let's say playing with that, or our guys are still playing. They are still trying to figure out whether we can do something more. So this is other thing. And then the really important finding is we need to really find a way to incentivize the customers to consume what they produce in the place. Otherwise, it's just expensive.
Yeah, good one. Besides this talk about everything, prosumers, data centers, and so on, I'm curious to see if the basic, indicators regarding the grid are also on track. I mean, the length, the waiting time for an investor to get energy, for a consumer to get energy, is it decreasing? Because this is also an issue. And also the continuity of supply. Is this indicator on track? It's getting better?
So in the long-term perspective, so if you compare it to 2005, 2012, 2017, these parameters are improving. So there is a significant improvement when it comes to number of interruptions. We were something like 7 per year. We are, I think, 1 point something, 2 interruptions per year. So there is significant improvement when it comes to length of the interruption average as well. It's significantly down. One of the things where we are now, these parameters, we can't really improve them more in this moment because we are doing investments. So we significantly increase the investments. So we have, for example, this year, the parameters are plus minus same as last year, but this is on the account that we are doing in some of the region, thanks to European fund, we are doing reconstruction of entire network of several cities, so where you can't really avoid interruptions. Those are plenty interruptions. We are discussing in advance with the customers, with local municipalities. So this is something. So as if you go on the highway, you have there always. So when there is a repairs on the highway or reconstruction, you have there this sign. We are sorry. We are working on improving it. So that's now is the phase where the investment has the effect that overall parameters are not improving in this moment. We will see it as a consequence, as a benefit of the investments in the future.
Did you see any increase in the interruption duration given the rise of prosumers?
We don't see it in the way of being interruption. How it works actually is every prosumer has the inverter. So if the production is leading to higher voltage level than it's allowed, it's technically allowed, then the inverter itself is disconnecting. So on the consumers which are having the inverter, if they are in the location, so I'm sure that they are facing these periods where the photovoltaic part is getting disconnected, but it doesn't cause it on the level of, let's say, customers.
Okay. Just a couple of questions. The investment budget for this year and next year, and maybe just say a few words about European funding, if you managed to get any this year.
We have in the implementation, I don't know whether we signed it this year or last year, time is running fast, but we have for this regulatory period, which started this year, we have investment plan 2.1 billion RON as investment of the distribution company, and we have additional 1.3 billion as European funds. So okay. Those are which are signed. We have first 7 projects which are under the implementation. So we are building them. Some of them will be finalized by the year end. Some of them will be finalized next year. And then we have additional 13 projects which were signed and they are under contracting. We are expecting to contract all of them by the end of the year. And the implementation will be in the years 26, 27. And then we applied for some additional funds, which are, I think, 200 million RON. But those are under the evaluation. So there are, let's say, investments which are ongoing. So we are talking about almost 4 billion RON of the investment.
Okay. You as a company, as the company structure, are very special in the Romanian market because you only have distribution. Mm-hmm. Is this model able to go on like this? Do you think there will be changes because you belong to a big infrastructure fund and everybody's questioning this? Okay, what's going to happen there?
It's something which is if you look to the rest of Europe, if you look globally, this is the model which is operating quite successfully. So you have independent operator of the infrastructure, and then you have suppliers, you have producers which are using the infrastructure. So it is unusual in Romania. It's but this is not something which is not usual in other countries. So that's something which is not necessary, let's say, disturbing. This is not something which is making it not functional.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it's something which is business as usual in many other countries.
Mm-hmm. We'll see how this will go on. And one last question. What are your expectations for 2025 regarding the economics of your company and also the market? Because we see the figures in the economy deteriorating. Everybody is very cautious about investing, about consuming. So what's your forecast?
If I talk specifically about our company, as I said, we are 100% regulated entity. So from that perspective, things goes in the stable way. So what we see, let's say we see, and we are discussing with our consumers, with our customers, so that this is for us, it's really important to understand where the economy is going. We are hearing from especially those which are having high consumptions that they are really wondering, and they are being nervous about the future. We have a region which has two big automotive companies and all the supply chain which is built in the proximity. So this is something which we are discussing. We are trying to find the solutions when it comes to, because they are considering to become a producer on their own, to become the prosumer. So we are in contact with them to find the best solution for them. They are applying for European funds. So, and everything goes to the grid and connection to grid. So this is something where we are with them, because for us it's important for these companies to produce, consume. If they are not consuming, they have still, there is a supply chain which is consuming. So this is something which we see. It's difficult, but we believe that there will be solutions, and they are gonna maintain producing and keep the economy running.
Okay, thank you, Ondrej, very much for being here in this interview. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Și vă mulțumesc și dumneavoastră pentru atenție și ne vedem data viitoare cu un alt invitat.